Metropolis City Council order Monday, June the 22nd, 2015. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Here.
Canada.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
McManus. Mizell.
Here.
And Short.
Here.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, let's call the roll, please. We already did that. And remain standing for prayer. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come tonight thanking you for the many blessings that you have given each and every one. Be with our city, dear Heavenly Father, as each decision that we make here tonight will be for the betterment of the community. Be with the ones in our community that have lost loved ones. Be with the sick. Not only be with the sick, dear Heavenly Father, but be with the caregivers. Be with our armed service personnel, not only on foreign ground, but here in the United States, and guide and direct their lives and bring them safely home to their families. We ask in thy precious name. Amen. Amen. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the 6/8/15 meeting.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Citizens request. Hearing none. First item on the agenda, Mayor's report. Motion to accept road closure in Market Street. This is an annual walk we actually have every year in September from 8th to 3rd Street and ending at Washington Park. They're bypassing the state highway where we don't actually go through and have to have permits and stuff like that. So that will be on September the 26th, 2015, beginning at 9 o'clock, ending at 11 o'clock.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion made and second. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus.
Yes.
Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Concludes my report. Corporate Council.
Thank you, Mayor. First item is the prevailing wage rate ordinance, which is something we're required to do every year by state law. All units of government have to adopt the prevailing wage rates, and this is a standard ordinance. Typically, we do it in the month of June or July, so I pulled it off the Department of Labor's website last week. I put this in your packets. And then once it's adopted, there's a little notice that goes in the paper that says we've adopted it. And we'll keep a copy, send a copy off to the Secretary of State's office and the Department of Labor. So what we do is a motion to suspend the rules and place that ordinance on its passage.
I'll second.
It's going to be number 7.
We do have a motion. We do have a second. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-07 as presented. Second.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. McManus, second by Mr. Hall. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item I have, as you know, we reached a proposed agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police. That's the union that represents our police department bargaining unit members. That's the officers, the sergeants, and the dispatchers. I put that in your packets. We had, the agreement was within the range that you've given the mayor and I authority to negotiate. Typically, we do approve it last, but I've received assurance from their representative it will be approved this week. If it's not for some reason, we made signing it contingent on their approval, so it's not like we're not, if they don't, then we won't sign it. And if we need to, we'll rescind the ordinance at that point, but I don't think that's gonna happen. We got all the, there was one typo we found where they left out a paragraph. We put that back in, and the wage rates we calculated, there was one typo there, and we got that, it was just a row that got miscalculated. We got that all straightened out, and both parties are in agreement, at least now, that that's what it is. So, unless, now, if you wanna talk about it in closed session, we can do that and hold off on it. If anybody's got questions they wanna deal with in closed session, but basically, it's consistent with what you gave us authority to do, and it's, basically been accepted. They told us they're gonna accept it, so.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and place an ordinance approving a proposed collective bargaining agreement between the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, Labor Council, and the City of Metropolis upon its passage.
Second. Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. McManus. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement between Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, Labor Council, and the City of Metropolis, ordinance 2015-8.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Hall. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Last thing I have to mention tonight, I know some of you have been wondering where we were at with the FEMA demolitions, or the FEMA houses that were scheduled to demolish. We heard back from the engineers last week. We got the specs revised and putting the notice, the advertisement for bids in the paper this week, and we'll actually run it a second time next week, just so we satisfy FEMA and be sure. Because keep in mind that we want to do this the way they require us to, because we're getting reimbursed virtually all our money on this thing if we do it right. We are, if you'll remember, the asbestos surveys came back and showed that all of the houses had some level of asbestos except one, and which was I thought we did better than that, but anyway, they all have various quantities. Some have very little. Some of it is just suspected to be in the caulk or something else like that. Others have considerable amount of asbestos. It's the siding, and it's some of the flooring materials and things like that. So instead of grouping them, if you remember, we broke them into, we have 12 properties, so we broke them into three groups of 4 properties each. Thinking that might give an opportunity for a smaller contractor to bid on them and get the job. Well, instead of grouping them geographically this time, we grouped them by quantities, okay? So those with the least quantities, the one that had none and the next 3 that had the least numbers, we put together. And then we took the next group that kind of fell into the middle, and we put them together. And then the ones that had the bulk, which we know is gonna require more work, we put them together. And with the idea that that might allow somebody local to pick up the smaller one, if nothing else. Now, I've been asked, well, will they have to have this license, or will they have to have somebody that can do it? They'll have to have somebody that's licensed to do it. Now, that doesn't mean they have to necessarily have it. There's lots of subs out there and lots of people that have done this kind of work, and so they can probably pick up somebody to do that work. And we don't care if they sub that part, the asbestos removal, that's fine. And some of it's probably not more. I know John and I talked about this last week. In one instance, there's probably not enough to fill a trash bag. All you're gonna do is fill a trash bag with a few items, seal it up, and then send that to the right dump, and you're okay. One of the unfortunate sides of this whole thing is you have to be able to handle, a landfill has to be able to handle or be permitted to handle what's called special special waste in order to take asbestos materials, okay? Well, EPA had a list of about 50 of these in the state of Illinois, but that list had not been updated. The ones that, for the most part, the ones that were in southern Illinois were closed or no longer handle asbestos. We found two. We found one in Thompsonville and we found one in, it's over in, like north of DeSoto, I think is where it's at. It's in Perry County. And so we put those on there, not recommending one over the other, just saying these appear to be the two closest ones. There might be one in Kentucky, but we didn't want to get into going into Kentucky simply because, we don't want to be responsible for where this stuff goes. We want to know it went in, came out of Illinois, goes into a landfill where we know that it's being governed by Illinois law. And so we don't have any problems that come back on us.
So they'll have to show their receipt tickets.
They have to, absolutely, they have to show their tickets where they disposed of that before they can get paid. That is one of the requirements. We put that in there in about 3 different places, emphasizing. Probably Chad Vance will be our inspector. John and I talked about that. Chad will be, there's certain things, conditions they're gonna have to meet if they wanna get paid. That being one of the big ones, they're gonna show tickets where they dispose of the
That's gonna
materials.
cost, they have to truck it all the way up there. That's gonna-
Unfortunately, that's the downside. Yes, it is gonna
But
cost.
there is enough money in that.
It's a pretty sizable grant that we have, I will say that. I don't wanna comment exactly how much, cause I don't wanna, we don't wanna go over that amount certainly. They'll have to show disposal ticket. They're gonna have, if you got a basement, they've gotta put a hole in the bottom of that basement, and we're not gonna pay until they put a hole in the bottom of that basement, so it'll drain. So water that comes down through there, it seeps, drains. They've gotta take the foundation, I think it's a foot below grade, it may be 2 feet below grade if it's a basement. I think it's a foot below grade. It's gotta be compacted when they fill it, so we don't have a lot of settlement issues and stuff. So there's a little more work than we require sometimes, but this is what FEMA requires, okay? They had two pretty detailed spec handouts that they said that you're supposed to follow, so that's what we put into our specs. But that, like I say, that went out. Bids are expected in by July the 14th. We'll open them then. That'll give us enough time before the next city council to have a water light in the street if we need to. And so we give you a recommendation and then have them approved at the final meeting in July. That'll also give us time then to give the notice, and they can get started this summer and into early fall when the weather should still be good, and get this project finished up. And hopefully get a little grass seed on it while it's still, by the time we start getting a little fall rain, we get a little grass seed on these things and we finishing them up. So,
We definitely want them growing where we can mow them.
but that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And if you get any questions, I'm glad to answer. Other than that, that's all I have, Mayor.
Next committee report. Mr. Barfield, Water, Light, and Street Service.
Yes, sir. Mayor, these following items are from our meeting of June 17th. I will make a motion to accept the annual truck and equipment testing with Delta Mobile Testing Incorporated in the amount of $2,161 for the light department.
Motion made by Mr. Barfield, second by Mr. McManus. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Barfield,
Yes.
Canada,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus, Mizell,
Yes.
and Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 2, adopt a resolution on the proposed 66 corridor project with Southern 5 Regional Planning District and Development Commission.
Second?
Motion made by Mr. Barfield, second by Mr. Mizell. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus, Mizell,
Yes.
and Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will make the motion to suspend the rules and place on ordinance amending and extending the residential solid waste collection and disposal collectors contract between the city of Metropolis, Illinois, and Bulldog Systems Incorporated upon its passage. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barfield, second by Mr. Canada.
Got a question.
All right.
I got a couple of issues, with this. I think 12 years is extending it out too far at 3%. That's a long time, and we could get caught with that. And the other thing, I just think that we should have looked at other avenues as far as contractors and use the bidding process. That's just my opinion.
Yes, that's my opinion too, because we're talking about, what, hundreds of thousands of dollars contract.
I figured it up off the budget.
And we could have helped our citizens out if we got it reduced.
I agree.
You know, if some of us complain about wanting to raise our sewer rate, which we're gonna have to, we might offset our sewer rate raise by, bidding this out. I
We
think
actually,
12 years is a long time.
And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
We actually did look at the existing contracts that's been bid in the last 12 to 18 months off of the only other company that's has ever bid anything for us, and it was considerably less than what those bids were at Brookport and one other community. But I do understand what you're saying. That's any other discussion?
Yes, I did extend that out, where budget said 460,000 is what we expect to bring in each year. And for that kind of money, you're talking over a 12-year period of time, we're talking $5 million. And I feel like that we ought to be more adept and give everybody an opportunity to bid this, any company out there should be willing to. I think 12 years is way too long to obligate
Okay.
a city.
Good enough.
That's-
We do have a motion. We do have a second. Call the roll, please.
Barfield,
Yes.
Canada,
Yes.
Carroll,
No.
Paul,
Yes.
McGuire,
No,
McManus, Mizell,
No,
Short.
No. What are we gonna do when the next bidder comes in much higher? Go with it?
No, we'll go whatever comes in. I mean,
Yeah,
if we
well, it
get
won't be
that.
the same, I guarantee you that.
Well, it might not be the same.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own opinion.
Hey, that's fact.
Okay, motion failed. Only thing I know to do now is take it back to committee. And, if they choose to, renegotiate with the company you're with, or go out for bid. Now, and we are operating now without a contract.
Right.
So,
Mayor, one thing that bothers me is the water and sewer separation, and it has for 18 years. You know that in 2005, we had approved the water and sewer separation and even had it bid out and had the money to pay for it. But the council at that time didn't see to go along with that. And I feel that if we can do anything at this time to help our citizens with the infrastructure and the rates, now's the time to do it. So I would like to take it back to the big committee and talk about it.
and I agree with what you're saying. At that same time, at 205, we had an opportunity to get a $2 million grant free of charge that we could not get because we couldn't agree on.
We didn't
So,
need it, we had the
yeah.
money to pay for it.
Yeah, we lost that, so, we will actually take it back to a Water, Light, and Street Committee meeting. We actually have a Finance Committee meeting
July
first of
I believe.
July.
Yes,
I think if it's acceptable, Mr. Barfield, we'll add that on there
absolutely.
for discussion. And, if you choose to go out for bid, we'll have to get those bid specs ready and get them out.
Good.
So that would be put on the agenda for July the 1st.
All right, the next item with Massa will be Newton Void anyway.
Yes, sir, you're right.
Okay, we'll skip that, so that concludes our presentation there.
Next item, zoning.
We're looking to adopt a ordinance granting a special use permit for 21 John Street, sir? Yeah, for a detached garage. Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing. There was a first reading 2 weeks, council 2 weeks ago, of an ordinance drafted up along with that advisory report recommending the special use permit. I think there was some wording that needed to be changed on that ordinance. Corporate counsel updated my attempt at it, put that in your packet, and you're taking a look at that ordinance tonight, looking for a motion and a majority vote to approve the special use permit.
I'll make that motion to grant the special use permit.
Suspend the rules.
No, you had first reading last time.
Yeah.
You had first reading. I'll second.
Who's second? Thank you.
Short.
This will be number 9.
We do have a motion, we do have a second. Discussion. This will be number 9. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on, department heads. Chief Massey.
Nothing other than Dave Bowman is still at Baptist. There was no room in barns for him. He's been through his second round of dialysis, and he is starting to give up some of the fluids that been blocked up. So he's not out of the woods by any means. He's still in ICU, but at least it's not bad news. So.
But doing better. Good. That's good. Stoney?
Nothing at this time, sir.
Chad, you have anything else?
Nothing else at this time.
Old business.
I'd like to make a comment on that, Phelan a while ago. That does not reflect on the job they've done for the city. I want that, I think they've done a good job.
Yeah, I do.
New business.
Under old or new business, either one, I got a meeting on Renew Metropolis coming up this Thursday at 11 o'clock. If anybody wants to be there. It only lasts till 10 minutes to 12,
And that's Thursday.
Thursday.
Jerry Bynum.
11, you said?
Pardon?
What time?
11 o'clock to 11:50.
Did you?
I put that under old business or new
Yeah,
business.
that's fine, okay.
Miscellaneous reports. Financial reports, payment of salaries, payroll, and contract bills.
Second?
Moved by Mr. McManus. Second by Mr. Mizell. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mizell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Payment of miscellaneous bills.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Mizell, second by Mr. McManus. Call the roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Before, we do have need for a closed session too. I did get an email this afternoon from Gray McGee, which is the vice president or the CEO, I guess, of the American Heartland Fish thing. And they are still in negotiations with their 2 investors, trying to secure some funding for the building of the facility that they need with long-term financing, with some kind of a interest rate that is compatible with what they're doing. they actually think they will have something by mid-July. And they still consider Metropolis as the best location that they've looked at, so I'm still excited that will be something that happens.
Well, Mary, you said something about, we could maybe get some grant money or help from the state on.
Not on the building, on
On
the
the
road
road.
infrastructure, yes.
I wonder if they can get some help when we built our last building over from Kentucky. I wonder if we could get some.
You can get back roll money if it's still left, but you gotta pay that back, and they could probably maybe finance it out. Maybe, I don't know if they can refinance it or
With
not.
macro can? I don't know, that's a good question. I know if we get the money, the minute we lease it, we have to
We
pay it
gotta pay
off.
for it.
So that's the,
Not-
we could
not
get
if
it-
was sublet.
we could get it short-term probably to build it, and then,
That's kind of well,
but we'd have to find somebody that's willing to pay it out and lease it to.
Right.
if we can borrow the money, the city can. But at the minute you either sell it or lease it or rent it, you have to pay your note off immediately within, I don't remember exactly what, it's not very long. So that might not, well,
I know, it's.
the only thing bad about that puts us back into the loan business, because they'll be leasing back from us, and that's not very attractive, I don't think. But anyway, I guess we'll wait and see what they can come up with and stuff like that. We do need an executive session for real estate,
The last two items there, yeah.
sale, lease, or exchange of real estate.
Before we go on to that, I wanted to ask if there's any update on the pool.
Yeah, no. We have the refrigerator and the deep freeze in place, and I'm not sure if they got the floor done
They're real,
Friday or not.
they were real close, unofficially, I told Tara, unofficially, we don't want this out there, because we're not making any announcements. We think we may get it this week, but then it's still gonna take a period of days to get everything moved in and set up, and get the chemicals and everything else. Yeah, it's gonna take a while to do that too, but we may have to go without some of it, I know, we're gonna have to clean up, but we're at least down to maybe punch list. They,
They're in.
I think they got them,
Yeah,
I think they're in, or they're gonna have them in, there tomorrow, something like that, from my understanding.
And I think they got the floor done.
But that's kind of unofficial. They said Thursday or Friday that they hope to turn it over this week to us, so, that would
So
be.
maybe that first.
Now contractually, that's what we call substantial completion, that's punch list level, okay, so then we do gotta do walkthrough and tell them what else has gotta be touched
I'll
up.
make a motion to go into closed session for real estate, sale, lease, or exchange of real.
And I think Mr. Nutty, finished his stuff down there. It's not done right now, it will be done the next day or so. We do have a motion to go into closed session, we do have a second. Call a roll, please.
Barfield.
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
McManus. Mydell.
Yes.
And Short.
Yes.
Thank you.